Hey, Sasha here. And in just a moment, I'm going to start my little mini web class that I know is going to be very eye opening for you. We're going to just take a moment to wait for a few people to show up, and then we'll go ahead and start. In the meantime, I'm going to make sure that my setup is good. Hey, Carl. Thanks for joining us. I realize that this mini class is really focused on women, but you'll notice that a lot of the principles that I talk about are principles that apply to all human beings, and they will make a whole lot of sense to you. So thank you for joining. We're going to give another minute, and then we're going to go ahead and start. Okay, wonderful. Well, we've had a few other people join, so let's go ahead and start. Hey, Sasha here, and I'm so happy that you've joined me. Today, I'm going to share with you the three secrets highly motivated women are now using to stop emotional eating and overeating so that they can release 30 pounds, regain their confidence, and kill it in their careers and love life, even if they tried every diet and done traditional therapy. This is for you if you're a highly motivated woman with a strong vision for what you want for yourself. That could be in your career, entrepreneurial endeavors, and or in your love life. But you realize that you keep holding yourself back because you're not comfortable with your weight. And when your emotions are triggered, you tend to do such things as emotionally eat, overeat, and binge eat. Let me give you some examples of what emotional eating can look like. I've had many clients mention how it made no difference that they had already eaten dinner. I don't know about you, but a lot of emotional eaters tend to go over what happened during the day or in the past at night. If their emotions were off, they'd find themselves looking to graze or snack while watching TV. Their go tos were often chocolate, cookies, and cupcakes. Even if they weren't hungry, if something like that was there, it was going to get eaten because their minds would obsess and fixate until they had it. And in some cases, they didn't have one or two servings, but all of it. That kind of automatic and consistent behavior then led to the stress and anxiety of getting dressed in the morning. I know I hated that. That's a horrible way to start one's day. That only leads to guilt, shame, and low self confidence. So, in other words, all of the negative emotions that would ultimately push you to do more emotional eating. If you've struggled with this, I get you. Emotional eaters often don't feel in control of their eating. So, for example, you may find that if somebody brings donuts or cupcakes to the office, that you automatically eat a few and then feel bloated and full. For others, it might be as simple as finding that you mindlessly keep pulling candy out of the office candy jar, even though you know that it's bad for you on every level. It's a horrible thing to know that you can't trust yourself. In both cases, it leads to you feeling guilty and your self confidence continuing to plummet. Who's found themselves doing this? I'm probably speaking to the choir, right? I did too. Maybe you've noticed that it starts the moment you get up and continues during your workday and into the evening. Maybe you think thoughts such as, Has it been long enough since I ate last? Because you really just want to eat again. I've had some clients tell me that when they're driving, their mind is constantly consumed with thinking about all of the different restaurants that they could stop at. Food obsession can leave you feeling completely out of sorts. Whether you realize it or not, emotional triggers and unhealthy eating habits are connected to past trauma. Now, you might be thinking, trauma. Trauma is the lasting emotional response that often results from living through a distressing event or series of events. A lot of times people think that only vets experience trauma, but in reality, anybody who lived through a tough time period has lived through trauma. This is for you. If you're ready to heal those issues and start a new chapter in your life, and you realize that the time is now. It could be you moving forward with a great business idea, opening yourself to a life partner, or reclaiming your femininity and sexuality. Does what I'm mentioning sound familiar? Regardless of our backgrounds, we all have much more in common. My promise to you is that I'm going to show you a simple way to heal emotional eating, release excess weight, and keep it off, even if you had been trying to do these things on and off unsuccessfully for years. This works even if you experience trauma. This way, you can stop hiding, stop putting off reaching your goals, regain your confidence, and play full out in life. Meet Nina. For over a decade, she struggled with eating issues. After using my system, she was able to stop emotional eating and binge eating. The momentum she got from that transformation ultimately propelled her into entrepreneurship, and now she has a successful fitness brand of her own. This works. Before I go over my 3 secrets that are going to help you to heal eating issues once and for all so that you can lose weight and have the confidence and body that you've been wanting, let's go over the current state of things. A study that examined the relationship between childhood trauma and weight gain found that childhood adversity may contribute to the development of weight gain, obesity, and related health problems in adult women, and that addressing the underlying trauma may be an important component of weight management programs. Yet, that rarely happens. Trauma is often overlooked and pushed to the side. Instead, from a young age, what do? We diet. Most women will start to diet at around 8. Sound familiar? At what age did you start your first diet? For me, it was 5. One study found that an early age of first dieting was related to extreme weight control behaviors, greater alcohol consumption and misuse, and a greater chance of being overweight or obese at the 10-year follow-up. Another study done by the University of Florida found that single women and those currently dieting had stronger tendencies to engage in uncontrolled bouts of eating, bulimia, and binging. Do you see how we women attempt to heal ourselves by doing diets, restricting food, and doing other stuff that only makes the situation worse? It's important that you don't keep making the same mistakes. You see, there are many myths to weight loss. Diets only slow down your metabolism and set you up to regain the weight plus some. That's what happens with many of the people that were on the Biggest Loser show. Many of the contestants regained a bunch of weight and then some, even though many of them were consuming less calories than ever. It became such a phenomenon that studies were done to understand what had happened. All of these studies came back to the conclusion All of these studies came to the conclusion that diets of all kinds don't work. Instead, they end up giving you the opposite of what you want. Maybe you've tried to restrict and deprive yourself of food. I know I did. I can tell you from firsthand experience that the all or nothing approach isn't the solution either. That only sets you up for overeating and binge eating. Replacing meals with shakes and teas can only last for so long because most don't taste very good and it gets boring really quick. When it comes to teas, some of them can cause you to experience cramps, gas, and even diarrhea. Who wants to be in the middle of something important and have an explosion? Taking medications and over-the-counter pills are another big mistake. Wegovy, which is a higher dose of the very in Ozempic, has been shown to work while people are taking it. Unfortunately, when people stop taking it, they start regaining the weight. Not only do people tend to regain weight and hurt their metabolisms, but on top of that, there are also the possible side effects. Just a few include thyroid tumors, acute cholecystis, or inflammation of the gallbladder, which can be deadly if your gallbladder ruptures, pancreatitis, and the scariest of all, pancreatic cancer. I don't know if you know this, but pancreatic cancer has one of the lowest cancer survival rates. Just the other day, I was reading a study that said that only 1 out of 100 people survive their cancer for 3 years or more after diagnosis. That's 1%. It's not worth it. On top of that, it costs around $1,300 a month. Do the math. That comes to $15,600 a year. That makes for a very expensive and possibly painful and deadly learning lesson. Imagine what you could do with an extra 15K. You could fund your great business idea, buy yourself a whole new wardrobe of clothes in your new size, and or have money to go on vacation with somebody special. Why not? Maybe you've counted calories and weighed your food. Who has time for that? You've got bigger fish to fry. At some point, you've probably even tried working out constantly. They've actually done studies that show that how you eat is more important than just working out alone. That's why working out nonstop is not the solution. Plus, it's just not sustainable in the long run because, once again, who has time for that? Have you enrolled in expensive seminars or read plenty of books on nutrition and weight loss? That isn't the solution either because guess what? Knowing how to eat healthy isn't enough. Maybe you've done courses to manifest the life and love that you've been wanting, but that's been futile because how you feel about your weight is impeding and blocking you from going after those things. How about weight loss food? Have you depended on pre-made weight loss meals? If so, I have something very interesting that I have to show you. This article was made on Oprah's investment in Weight Watchers. Check out the headline. Oprah's investment in Weight Watchers was smart because the program doesn't work. The author wrote, people give Weight Watchers the credit when they lose weight. Then they regain the weight and blame themselves. This sets them up to join Weight Watchers all over again, and they do. Let's be honest, it's easy to go back to old patterns the moment you stop a meal service. Numerous times I've had clients tell me, I did great while I was ordering food, but then I stopped doing it and then I regained the weight. The author of that one article quoted former CFO Richard Sambor, who, when talking about all the people who end up failing and rejoining, said, that's where your business comes from. Did you just hear that? Eye-opening, right? While Weight Watchers no longer offers weight loss food, there are plenty that do. It's still not the solution for what you want to achieve. By the way, a meal service can cost around $1,244 a month. That comes to $3,732 for 3 months. For most people, that isn't sustainable. And even if you could afford it, wouldn't it make more sense to do something else with that money? Especially if you know that there's a high chance that the weight loss that you would experience would just be temporary. Once again, you could spend that money on all kinds of other stuff, such as cute clothes, so that you can be comfortable in your body and feel really good with how you look and feel. Getting a few areas lipoed could cost about $11,000. In places like LA or New York, a well-regarded surgeon would definitely cost more. From personal experience, I can tell you that those also come with risks of scars, dents, divots, and it getting botched. The cost of a lap band surgery can be somewhere between 5 to 33K. A gastric sleeve can cost up to $25,000. Those come with the risk of infection and it getting botched. And if you go to Mexico to get it done at a cheaper price, these days there's also the risk of dealing with crime. I had to show you those examples so that you'd fully understand that quick fixes and patches are not your best solutions. In the majority of the examples that I just gave you, that's you just re-traumatizing yourself with this struggle that doesn't heal the real issues that are the cause of weight gain to start with. Following somebody on social media who gives a weight loss tip here and there isn't the solution either. I used to follow this one fitness model slash weight loss guru who was always posting images of her looking fabulous and showing the food that she would eat. The thing was this woman was naturally thin. Before getting into the fitness world, she was already thin, as in a size 0. You can't compare yourself to somebody like that. You'd be doing yourself a disservice if you did. I once saw somebody comment on a picture that she had posted, and the follower said something like, "You look great. I wish I could look like that too, but I never will." The follower said that because she realized that there was a big disconnect between her current reality and what she was seeing. Talking to a therapist isn't enough. If that was the case, so many women wouldn't have food and weight issues. Based on my own experiences and that of so many of my clients, I can confirm your suspicions. The majority of what you've heard about when it comes to weight loss is wrong. It doesn't work. And the truth is that most people aren't working on the real issues that are driving them to emotionally eat and overeat. Why is it that nobody's talking about the role of trauma and maladaptive behaviors that lead to weight gain? With the system that I'm about to share with you, women just like you are able to change things around. A good example of that is Debbie. She had a slow metabolism from yo yo dieting and found it hard to lose weight. She went on to release 40 pounds. Andrea felt out of control with her eating after she was able to feel in control and empowered. Chris, the owner of a gym, who has referred countless of his clients to me, has said she has an amazing success rate, and I have no hesitation in recommending her to anyone who's serious about making a change in their life. Just like my previous clients, you can create a new reality. A little about me. My name is Sasha Carrion, and I help women who want love in their lives and want to expand their careers and want to feel comfortable in their bodies, release 30 or 40 pounds, because that is what prevents them from getting love, from having the confidence that they need so that they can take their careers and businesses to the next level and be all that they can be. They're struggling with emotional eating that is an extension of the trauma that they experienced in their younger years. My work has been featured on both TV and radio. I'm the person that is behind a lot of the successful people that you would easily recognize. In fact, a lot of times when I go to Vegas, I look up at billboards and I see a lot of my clients up there. I take great pride in the fact that so many people trust me. I've now worked with thousands of people. These include celebrities, bodybuilders, sports athletes, authors, top-level executives, scientists, doctors, and your average person. What I'm sharing with you comes from my experience as a professional and as a woman who for years had food and weight issues herself. To explain to you how I discovered what I'm about to share with you, I need to share with you one of the craziest stories that you will have ever come by. And it's all true. At a very young age, my life was hit with a lot of tragedy. When I was 5 and my sister 3, we woke up one morning to find that our mother had disappeared. 2 days later, my father then disappeared. Our mother's mother, who was an emotionally volatile person, ended up begrudgingly adopting us. While she did her best with us, she was also highly critical and also negative. I grew up feeling unwanted and not good enough. I grew into a self-conscious woman who would self-soothe with food. The moment my emotions were off, my eating became that of a possessed woman. It made no difference what I was eating. Nothing felt like it was enough, and I just couldn't trust myself. My mind always felt that if I lost just a certain amount of weight, that everything would be better. I would be more likable and lovable, and that would open the doors to such things as love. All of my insecurities led me to having lipo done. Unfortunately for me, it was a botched surgery. 3 reconstructive surgeries later, if anything, I looked worse than before the original surgery because now I had damaged areas. I had dents and divots and a whole lot of scars. It was my worst nightmare. With time, the one good thing that did come from this whole thing is that it forced me to take a stand for myself. I knew that I had a choice. I could continue obsessing about my imperfections, which I had even more of now, and stop really living life, or I could accept myself as is. I had never known unconditional love. It just wasn't a part of my experience. In fact, all I knew was the exact opposite. So I decided that I was going to give it to myself. I vowed to myself that I wouldn't obsess about my weight anymore. And that if anything, I was going to live full out, regardless of anything. I got certified in scuba diving. That meant that I had to get into bathing suits before putting on wetsuits in front of people, regardless of what anybody might think. I did it. Everything in life was improving. And then I found out a horrible secret relating to my parents. After 24 years of not knowing what had happened and being told lies, I found out the truth about my mother's disappearance. It turns out that my mother's life had been taken from her in the same room that my sister and I had been sleeping in that night so many years earlier. As you can imagine, I was angry, and at the same time, I was just heartbroken. It all just felt too much to handle. With time, I was once again facing weight issues. It made sense since I was in so much emotional pain and my eating was once again out of control. Numerous times, I tried the same stuff that had never worked in the long run, and they still didn't work. That reminds me of the Einstein quote where he said that doing the same thing while expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Well, some of the things that I've already mentioned worked for a while. They were never the solution. At last, I could see what I hadn't been able to see. I had been placing my hopes on the wrong things. During that time, I totally forgot about my weight because I went into survival mode and I purely focused on healing my anxiety, depression, and trauma. I started making improvements in my mental health and I moved forward with a career in self development. I figured that if I could heal with all of my issues, that others could too. Day in and day out. For years, I was in the trenches with my clients. I focused on helping my clients overcome obstacles and reach goals that had once felt like feats. I realized that I could help my single female clients heal old emotional triggers, lean out, boost their self confidence, and open themselves to love. I could help my entrepreneurial clients have the guts to go out there in their businesses and get what they want. And I could help career women take their careers to that next level. That led me to develop my proven process that I'm about to share with you. I want to make sure that I mention that even though your trauma story might not be the same as mine, I want you to know that I get it. I know that what you experienced is triggering the way you eat. It's also holding you back from love because you're trying to keep safe. That's the kind of limiting belief that will hold you back until you at last heal those outdated beliefs. Let's go over my 3 secrets to releasing weight and keeping it off. Let me have a sip of water first. Much better. I discovered that our subconscious mind, the part of the mind that you rarely ever hear about, controls the way you think, behave, and even eat. It's quietly calling the shots. Chances are very high that you are exactly where you are health wise because of your subconscious programming. My secret number 1 is that trauma keeps you safe, or at least your subconscious mind thinks it does. This is the part of your mind that is purely focused on your survival. On some level, it's trying to avoid what happened before from happening again. Because of that, it's created a slew of negative beliefs, thought patterns, and unhealthy food related coping mechanisms that are keeping you from opening yourself to love. You heal those emotional triggers, and you'll be able to heal your relationship with yourself and food and release excess weight. That's what's going to set you up for creating a new chapter in your life where everything that you've been envisioning for yourself is no longer a dream, but a reality. It's the critical component that is missing to most people's attempts at getting their eating under control and losing weight. Listen carefully. This is going to make a lot of sense to you. Most people try to achieve their goals with the use of only their conscious mind, which is believed to be only 5 to 12% of the mind. The subconscious mind, on the other hand, is believed to be a whopping 88 to 95% of the mind. The thing is that whatever the subconscious mind is thinking will always override the conscious mind. So even though a part of you really wants to reach certain goals and move forward boldly in life, your subconscious mind's deep desire of keeping you safe will keep you doing the things that block you from releasing weight and getting what you want in life. Understand that if you don't change your course, you are bound to fail. Your subconscious mind isn't always rational or logical. Instead, it just loves following patterns. That's why you often catch yourself doing the opposite of what you know you should be doing and doing it repeatedly. To your mind, having sweets and junk food is acceptable because it literally makes you feel good. It also thinks that it's perfectly fine that you not move forward and with the different things that you've been wanting because it sees that as you taking a risk. So it wants to hold you back. Why? Because it's functioning based on that old trauma that you experienced. Is this clicking for you? Let me give you an example of how our subconscious mind works. Let's say you're flying from LA to New York. The majority of the flight is on autopilot. The way you get there is based on coordinates that have been preset into the computer. Of course, you may get off the coordinates from time to time, but in the end, you'll end up in New York. Our minds are the same way. Even if you eat healthy for a bit, in the end, your old programming of eating unhealthy foods and eating large portions will ultimately kick in the moment you're triggered. You'll also find yourself coming up with every reason not to move forward with all the things that really matter to you. That's what happens when your mind functions based on outdated faulty programming that is not in line with you getting what you really want in life. In no time, your mind will go back to its primary programming. Unfortunately, that means sabotaging yourself and making it so that you keep holding yourself back. What I'm mentioning has been confirmed in quite a few studies. One study found that women with PTSD gain weight more rapidly and are more likely to be overweight or obese than women without the disorder. That's because the most powerful part of your mind keeps using food as a coping mechanism. It becomes something that you automatically go to without thinking of. Nobody tells you that trauma forever changes how your brain functions. Steve Pasica, a PhD psychologist and vice president of research and advocacy for Millennium Health, said, I think what we're starting to appreciate is that when you have traumatic experiences as a young person, it rewires you. And the way in which you interpret physical symptoms is changed forever. It's because those patterns have been hardwired into you that it's been so hard for you to make these shifts on your own. Does that make sense? Your subconscious mind is okay with you not reaching your goals, continuing to gain weight, stay padded, and keep the door closed on love. That's why if you don't make the necessary changes, you're going to get more of what you don't want. A study done by psychological science confirmed this. The mind has a tendency to default to familiar patterns and may resist change, even when beneficial. There's actually a term for it. It's called repetition compulsion. Do you now better understand why the impulse to keep doing the same stuff is so strong? Observational studies have shown that when we gain weight and stay at that weight, a weight that isn't what's healthiest for our bodies, it can become a new set point that your body gets used to being at. That's not good because your mind and body will keep having you do the same stuff to keep you there. This continued situation can make you more likely to get heart disease, strokes, diabetes, cancer, and depression. To sum up secret number one, you have to create a pattern interrupt at a core level because just telling yourself or having somebody, tell you that you aren't going to keep doing certain things isn't enough. Be sure to jot that down because it's really important. And by the way, I see that more people have joined us. Awesome. I'm so happy you're here. Yay. Let's keep going. Secret number one flows into secret number two. Willpower can only take you so far. In fact, it never works in the long run. Why? Because it's stored in that measly 5 to 12%. That is the conscious mind. So naturally, it can't last for that long. Willpower is just a short burst of energy, and once it's gone, it is gone. That's exactly what a study done in the UK confirmed. Read the title: 5 weeks of Willpower. Most women give up diets after 5 weeks, 2 days, and 43 minutes. That is it. Check out this snippet from an article by Vox's Science and Health editor: Why Willpower is Overrated. The big takeaway was that willpower is a myth. Blair Saunders, a University of Dundee psychologist who was quoted in the article, said that relying on willpower alone to accomplish goals is almost like relying on an emergency brake when you're driving your car. The author of the article continued with, and it's time that we all took these lessons to heart. Focusing on failures of willpower leads to shame, both public and private, and holds back our curiosity from finding and enacting solutions that actually work. A study done by the American Psychological Association that surveyed people on willpower found that many participants reported that having more time for themselves would help them overcome their willpower. This is one, by the way, that I hear all the time. The reality was that having more time on their hands didn't lead to additional willpower. As you can see, most people don't understand willpower, which is why they keep relying on it. Willpower doesn't exist when you're allowing subconscious programming to run amok underneath without addressing the root concerns and causes of all the things that are happening. To sum up my second secret, willpower doesn't work. Do you see how telling yourself that you're just going to eat healthy and lose weight after do you see how telling yourself that you're just going to eat healthy and lose weight isn't just going to work just like that? You need a real strategy that's actually going to work at the subconscious level, at that deep level. My secret number 3, your mind has to unravel all of the unhealthy associations it currently has with food. Right now, your mind has all kinds of positive associations with unhealthy foods. It sees food as a go-to when experiencing a variety of different emotions. In many cases, there's also a kind of addictive component to it because your mind acts like it's a must to have those things for your survival, like you have to. Right now, so that is one of the things that we have to change, because you'll never be able to reach your goals if you keep doing the same stuff. You have to eliminate those negative connections and attachments. Otherwise, when your subconscious mind goes on autopilot, which it always does, you'll naturally do what you've always done. That might mean that the next time you get upset, that you reach out for cookies and ice cream and completely sabotage yourself. In my 20s, I had a boyfriend whose sister used to do that. When we would go to bed, she'd stay up and binge on ice cream. First, it started with her having a whole pint, but then she was eating close to a whole gallon. With time, she gained weight and started to prematurely age. In fact, a few times my boyfriend was asked if his sister was his mother. With time, she gained weight. And because of all of the sugar, she started getting cavities. And at one point, they started having to remove teeth. That then aged her appearance even more so. Jeannie felt ashamed of how she looked. For that reason, she completely closed herself off from life and love. In retrospect, Jeannie's health started to fall apart because she never got her emotional eating under control. Because of it, she managed to sabotage herself in every way possible. To sum up my third secret, you have to unravel all the unhealthy associations your mind has with food. Otherwise, you'll find yourself at the mercy of cravings. Freeing yourself of that hardwiring is a must. Otherwise, the more you keep doing them, the more those faulty programs will keep getting cemented into your mind. The second part of that equation is that you must use the right mechanism. Otherwise, you're just wasting time and money. That's why my negative neural disengagement protocol is so powerful. It makes it so that you don't keep hitting that brick wall that keeps blocking you from getting the body you want and feeling really confident and self-assured. By the way, a study done by American Health Magazine found that it took 600 sessions of psychoanalysis for a 38% recovery rate. That's why if you've tried traditional therapy for these issues, there's a high chance that it hasn't worked. That's because talking about problems isn't enough. That's why I've had so many therapists as clients. They're smart, they know what works. If you've experienced trauma, you have to rewire your brain at a certain level. With the techniques that I use, there was a 93% recovery rate after only 6 sessions. By incorporating my negative neural disengagement protocol, I've added another powerful component that sets my system apart. I've been able to help my clients make life-changing breakthroughs. It's what's taken what I now do to that next level. The pivotal shift that I'm describing is what is going to put an end to all the frustration and negative thought patterns that have been holding you back. Is this all clicking for you? What happens if you don't solve these issues? It continues to cost you. You pay a price for continuing with the same situation. Let's start with the financial costs. A binge eater who eats twice the amount of food could end up spending twice as much. This could mean an extra $400 a month. Those that are foodies have it even worse because they're craving expensive meals that can really rack up in cost. That can then lead to more credit card debt and more stress that then compels you to do more emotional eating. That situation can create a self-perpetuating cycle of self-sabotage. And by the way, even if you emotionally eat and don't binge eat, emotional eating could become a gateway into binge eating. That was one of the findings that was published in a National Institutes of Health study. Let's now talk about the cost to your happiness. I want to share with you a few of the different scenarios that I've seen women endure. You tell me if you've seen this before. Countless times, I've heard women say, I'll open myself to dating when I lose 30 or 40 pounds. One of the women that comes to mind is a really put together friend of a friend. One day we all had lunch together, and she said that once she slimmed down, she'd start doing online dating. Years later, she reached out to me to catch up, and she said the same exact thing. Another few years, she was now saying that she had accepted that she was going to be single for the rest of her life. It was such a shame to see her in that situation because she's great. There's no reason for her to be experiencing that. If she had bothered to change things, by now she might be in a relationship, living a completely different life. A lot of times people don't realize that they've been holding themselves back until time and great opportunities have passed them by. Let's now go over the cost of happiness when it comes to women that are mothers. As we all know, women who become mothers often put everybody else before themselves. That's because they often bear the brunt of taking care of most things in the household. They tend to stop taking care of themselves. Instead, they start doing things such as driving kids back and forth and doing sedentary things such as reading and watching movies with kids. They also tend to eat their kids' leftovers. Years of doing that can really add up the weight. Add working into the mix, and a lot of women no longer have the mindset that it takes to achieve their goals. This happens to women who are not working because we all have just so much. I mean, this happens as well to women who don't have kids because you're taking care of plenty of other stuff as well. You're taking care of your career as well as the other people that are in your life. A lot of times women don't realize it, but time goes by. And next thing you know, they've gained weight and they're now dealing with weight related aches and pains. Situations like these rob a woman from her happiness, satisfaction, and takes her from her ability to really enjoy her life. You may find yourself uncomfortable in social settings. Because of it, you're really good at convincing yourself that Netflix on your own is more fun and that everything is okay. One of the things that I always tell people is that the more you close yourself off from the world, be it from career opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities, or even love, it's like the more you really box yourself in because you never know. I know somebody who was having a drink at a bar and ended up meeting a couple and started chatting it up with them. And they ended up becoming his future bosses. And that job ended up being a great job. Another quick story is of a client who mentioned that after she left her narcissistic husband, she thought she'd be alone for the rest of her life. But one day she went to one of those dance lesson nights that happen at different restaurants and music venues. And she went with her girlfriends. Little did she know was that that night she would meet her partner there. By the time I met her, they had already been together for 5 years and they had two dogs that were their fur babies. Cute, right? My point is, you never know. So you shouldn't close yourself off to possibilities. And when you're not comfortable with your body weight, that's what you're always doing. I know because I've done it myself. By the way, the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that overweight women reported lower levels of dating and sexual experience compared to their non-overweight peers. The study also found that overweight women were more likely to report negative body image and lower self esteem. It makes sense, right? You tend to hold yourself back when you don't feel good about yourself. Just the other day, I was reading a study that said that 60.8% of women desire to have sex 3 to 5 times a week. It's normal and natural to want to have intimacy. That's why it's important that you take control and heal emotional wounds and triggers so that you no longer instinctively and automatically get in your own way. For some of you that have a great business idea or already have a small business, you may be holding yourself back from moving forward with it because you don't want to be seen. Nowadays, marketing is done very differently from before. Now, people want to create a connection with a brand, and they usually do that by way of connecting with the owner of the business. That's why it's so important that you feel comfortable shining. To an empowered woman who is serious about taking control, those can no longer be options. It's time to shatter that glass ceiling that's been holding you back. I don't know about you, but I'm at a point where I'm all about playing full out in life and giving myself what I want and need. Now that you know what needs to be done and why it's so important for you to take action, the big question is, how do I do all those things? Well, let's go over your options. Number one, you keep doing the same stuff that hasn't worked. Number two, you try doing this on your own. Maybe that's you just doing traditional therapy. In my experience, few women get resolution at the same level as when they work with me. I've had women who had been dealing with trauma for decades work with me and heal in a relatively short time. And by the way, even women who are already dating a lot of times end up sabotaging themselves because their subconscious mind keeps rerouting them to thought patterns that go against what they really want, which is to be healthy and in a healthy relationship. And even highly successful women, a lot of times, will limit themselves because they're functioning based on those old patterns. And for the women who haven't really moved forward with their great ideas when it comes to business and career, it's what's holding them back. That has to end. Option number three, you shortcut your success with me. That means you say goodbye to struggling and battling with past trauma and the emotional triggers that caused you to gain weight in the first place. If you're done holding yourself back from the things that you've really been wanting, then you definitely want to stay with me till the end of this. With my negative neural disengagement technique, you can begin to write a whole new chapter in your life. My proven process is for proactive women like you. It gives you the tools to heal food issues, feel confident, and be happy in your body and propel you forward with a winning mindset. I work on the key areas that much less experienced experts are clueless about. One of the things that I noticed in life is that people will always promote whatever they know as being the solution to a problem. In many cases, people just don't know any better. I laser focus on key areas that are going to make the biggest difference for you. I'll give you an example of the kind of stuff I can help you do. Let's say that somebody brought in a bunch of cupcakes to work. If you decide to work with me, you may find that you don't obsess about them being there. You don't have to have them. I'm not saying that you'll never eat a cupcake again, but I'm saying that you'll be able to do what's right for you without feeling deprived. On another day, you might have that cupcake and be at peace with it. Wonderful, right? That's you being in control. Imagine now walking with confidence and self assuredness. You look and feel great. You shine bright because you've healed those old hangups. And because you feel more than good enough, that is what you're now projecting. That in turn leads to a person learning to treat you the way you want to be treated. You're no longer concerned about how you might look to others. You're calm and relaxed about food, even in social settings, because now it's the least of your concerns. Imagine that you're no longer settling. Now you're focused on the parts of your life that really matter. Imagine that you're now moving forward with that fabulous business idea that you have. This is different to all the stuff out there. It works if you're ready to stop settling. This unique system helps you to enjoy food, be confident and empowered, and slim down. Imagine how that would positively impact your life. My clients have reported staying in control in situations where they would have lost control and ended up feeling guilty and ashamed. They've also mentioned that they find that they're not obsessing. That's because the mental reset that we did is working for them. Now, clients like Silvana have an approach to life and food that works for her. That positively impacts every part of her life. It makes a huge difference and it's priceless. Meet Julia. She was distraught and felt out of control with food. She was really tough on herself to where she had a negative perception of her body. After doing my protocol, that shifted. She now has a much better mental set point and she's able to eat in a way that feels right to her. Realize that the only reason you hadn't been able to lose excess weight and get everything you want in life is because you haven't healed the emotional issues that have kept triggering you to sabotage yourself. And because you didn't have access to the right process. Now that you know that there's something that works and you know that what you want is within your reach, aren't you excited about it? You're probably somebody who isn't just hoping and wishing that things will change on their own. You understand that when you want to change something, you have to change it through the right solution. Getting access to the right tools and help is the difference between swimming upstream or flowing downstream. My unique system is how you can end all that inner turmoil, get in control, slim down for good, and open yourself to love, a great career, and feeling comfortable in your body, making it so that you live life the way you want to and that you are succeeding in the important parts of your life that really matter. You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but life is all about modeling success. That's the reason why Tony Robbins says if you want to achieve success, all you need to do is find a way to model those who have already succeeded. It isn't about reinventing the wheel. If somebody like me, who had so many issues to deal with, can do it, you can too. Get it? Let's say you committed yourself to modeling what works when it comes to your health goals. Even if you just healed your relationship with food to where it was no longer a source of stress, wouldn't it be worth it? I'm inviting you to set up a 100% completely free call where we go over what you're experiencing and I go over the blueprint of what it's going to take to get that unnecessary padding off of you, get lighter emotionally and physically, and create this new possibility for companionship, love, success, and satisfaction. You'll leave this call understanding the exact system I've used with my clients to help them transform their lives. This is not a sales pitch. Here's the high pressure pitch that will happen at the end of the call. I'll ask you if you're interested in my help, and you can simply answer yes or no. I do want to say that I only bring on a select few clients each month and help them take control of their eating issues and weight using my methods and unique approach. The best thing that will happen is that my negative neural disengagement protocol is going to be something that you love and you're going to feel ready to jump right in and start on the path of slimming down. If you decide that this process is the right one for you, then we can continue our talk and take it from there. Setting up this call is the single most important thing that you can do right now to start on the path of taking control. In doing so, you can go from this to this. In this message, my client says, eating healthy and losing weight has definitely given me more confidence, and I'm less tired, and I'm now able to get up earlier in the morning, which was always my goal. As I suspected, kicking junk food out of my life is positively impacting all areas of my life. I'm so happy. Next big task, love life. Beautiful, right? I do want to say that this is not for you if you've already chosen to settle and are not committed to healing so that you can feel more empowered than ever and create a new reality. In order for you to create a long-term change, you have to be at a point where the current situation is no longer an option for you because you're over it. You have to be fully committed to being a powerful force in your own life. Next, you can't be stuck in information gathering mode. That only leads to analysis paralysis, where you overthink so much that nothing gets done. That can't be you. You have to be that person that is a cause in her own life for everything she wants. That's how you'll be able to at last free yourself of food and weight issues and move forward lighter and bolder than ever. You aren't willing to invest in yourself. I say this because some people aren't used to investing in themselves, and because of that, they'll always settle. Lastly, you aren't willing to face what's holding you back and aren't coachable. I've now shown you plenty of examples of women who change their realities, and I've showed you all kinds of great studies that back up what I'm saying. If this has all made total sense to you and you're at a point where you're ready to free yourself of those old constraints and give yourself the mind and body you want and truly open yourself to living this fabulous new reality that is going to improve both your personal and professional life, then book your call now. I've now been working with people for over 15 years. I wholeheartedly believe that I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to do. Everything that I experienced has given me the empathy, understanding, and wisdom to help people just like you. It would be my pleasure to talk with you and see how I can help you. I do want to mention that in the same way that I value your time, I value mine as well. So be sure that you're available for a call. I don't reschedule no shows. You healing these issues that you've been struggling with would completely change your life, which is why it's important that you see the value that is in our call. How you show up to this call is telling of how you're going to show up for yourself in life. I thank you for taking the time to join me. I hope that this has all made a whole lot of sense to you. I'm really excited for you to address these issues so that you can free yourself of the weight that has been holding you back and make it so that your time is now. I really appreciate everybody who has shown up. I really look forward to chatting with you and answering any questions that you might have. Awesome, guys. I so appreciate that you have been on this call. Thank you. And go ahead and go to the link and sign up for that call, and we'll go ahead and we'll talk, and I look forward to chatting with you and seeing how I can help you to create your own personal breakthroughs so that you can live a life that is of your own design and really playful out in life. All right, guys, thank you. And the link, by the way, for you to schedule that call is right here below. It is sayyes-to-love-and-life.com/book. So it's sayyes-to-love-and-life.com/book. Awesome. All right, you guys, have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.